Welcome back everyone. As you guys know, the Samsung Galaxy Note 9 is probably one of my favorite phones that ever came out ever. It just really was everything Samsung had at the time. They just threw it in a phone and the Note 9 was born. Now, what I can tell you with the Note 9 specifically is that I think it's a killer device. I think it brought a lot to the table and it's still super relevant. But there's just one specific sad thing about this device that really makes me want to cry every single time I think about it, and that is probably the software update life cycle. But before I get too deep into that, I want to tell you this is not a full review. I've already done one early on this year, a couple months ago. So if you want a full review, you can watch that one. I'm just going to be basically bringing up the differences that have happened from, early on this year up until now. Now, one thing with the pricing structure is 2020 has been a weird year for a lot of other reasons, but the phone prices is one thing that for some reason these phones haven't really depreciated that much in the pricing structure. Now, with the Galaxy Note 9 early on this year in January, it was selling for about $370 to about $380 in the used market, and then it kind of dipped down a little bit in about that March timeframe, and then it kind of shot back up, and right now in March, they're still selling for about $370 to about $380. Now, you can pick one up on eBay for much cheaper than that. I think you could pick one up on eBay for like less than $250 if you really look hard enough. And I think that's a really good price to pay for a phone like this. So I'll go and find the cheapest one on Amazon and link it down in the description below so you can get them from there and help support the channel at the same time. Now, everything about this phone still has held up. The screen is still beautiful, body is still great, S Pen is still awesome. Very little bezel around the whole entire chassis of the phone. It doesn't look like or feel like an outdated phone at all. So that's a humongous plus. The real main downside of this phone, especially coming from early on this year to now, is that it's on its last version of software as far as we know. Now, based off Samsung's past behavior, this is usually the last ending point of a lot of these phones, and most probably the Note 9 is not going to be going any further unless Samsung changes things up. Now, with the Samsung Galaxy Note 9, having it on One UI 2 is really, really cool. I like Android 10 a lot. I don't like One UI 2 like a crazy amount, but at least it's based off Android 10, and Android 10 has a lot of capability within it. You have all those gestures, you have all those crazy things like that, and for sure, the Note 9 handles Android 10 extremely well. I think early on when I was doing my review early on this year, I was still rocking Android 9, which was pretty good, but Android 10, I think, even though it wasn't a major rehaul or anything, it still held up extremely well, and I think for sure it had a lot of value. And I think when it comes down to the software is great, but it's just sad that it's ending on this specific software, you know what I mean? So in terms of that pretty much covers the performance. Is still great, from early on this year was great, and now it's still very good for a used 2018 phone. This thing has a Snapdragon 845 with the additional 8 gigs of RAM if you want it, or the 6 gig of RAM option, and for sure, performance of this thing is still extremely good. You're not going to feel like you have an outdated phone or anything like that by any means. The camera quality is still great. You still have that dual camera setup on the back, 12 megapixel wide, 12 megapixel telephoto. You can do 4K at 60, which is extremely, extremely cool. And you kind of have a dual camera setup on the front, which is kind of funny. It's just a 2 megapixel iris scanner camera, and you can do 1440p on that. And honestly, one of the biggest upgrades from going on from the previous year or previous video that I did of this and up until now would probably be that battery life. It's still holding up. Android 10 didn't really affect battery life too much, which is something that I'm really happy about. I thought it might have, but so far, all my testing with Android 10, it really wasn't, a big major update in any way for the most part. So it didn't really affect battery life. It's still just as good as it was on Android Pie, which was pretty decent on this phone too. It still has that 4000 mAh battery. My specific device, I don't think the battery has degraded that much on it, which is something I'm really happy about. So for sure, battery life is still going to be about the same as it was, early on this year when I was testing that video. So I think this phone is still a tremendous pickup. You're getting a ton of cool features in the device that won't cost you, flagship prices. Phones like the Note 10 and Note 10 Plus, obviously those things came out. Those are killer devices, but the Note 9 still has a lot of value. And I think for sure, if you're willing to go and, get an older phone, the Note 9 is still an extremely good pickup in 2020. So even though we're in the mid of 2020, I'm still recommending these older phones. If you guys have any other questions or want to pick one up, like I said, links are down in the description. Hit the like button if you guys enjoyed the video, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it means so much if you guys get that. Also, check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my second channel, all those links are linked down below. I'd really appreciate if you guys could check it out. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.